Hi everybody, welcome to Caketastic Cakes. It's Jen and I'm going to show you how to make a very simple Darth Vader cake. Okay, just like always, if you need any tools or supplies you see me using, if you check the link in the description below, it should be able to guide you to what you need. Alright, I am starting out with a very small cake. This is just a 6-inch cake. It's two layers, 2 cakes high. And I covered it with some icing, put it in the fridge, and then covered it with some black fondant. I'm using fondant here because that's what you cover cakes with. It makes it nice and smooth and pretty. And I'm using my fondant paddle there just to smooth out some of those lumps and bumps that I just can't seem to get away from, honestly. All right, to make the face, I'm still using fondant here. I don't know that I ever used any gum paste. I think I used all fondant. And I am making a couple of triangles. I held one triangle up to the cake and it goes almost to the top, when it's standing up like that. So I just laid on top of the other and made a duplicate of it. Now I'm making a triangle again, and this is going to go in front of the face, the ventilator part of his mask. So I've got my two little triangles. See, I kind of flattened the one end that'll match up to the centerpiece. And I've got my triangle for the middle. And once I put them all together, it's going to look pretty darn good. You can see that they're all kind of the same height as well, so they don't go all the way to the top. So maybe about halfway. I guess I was mistaken before, so I'm sorry. Maybe it goes about halfway up. Okay, I'm using just a wooden dowel, a piece of wooden dowel that I had to make some vertical lines, as you see. And then between those vertical lines, I found a popsicle stick that I had, and I'm just making indentations to give the idea of the little holes in the ventilator that he breathes through, I guess. However it works, that's what I'm trying to do. So make sure when you do it, though, that you line them up because his mask is very nice and neat and tidy. All right, I used a pretty good sized circle there, cut out a circle at the top of the ventilator part, as you see. And the idea is when you put those pieces together like that on the cake, then I'm going to add the little white lights, I guess they are, that go on either corner, the 3 corners of his ventilator, part of his mask. So I didn't attach any of these pieces with water yet to my cake. I still want to be able to move them around. But getting them in place, knowing my center point and everything is always good to know. Now I'm going to actually make the lights. I took a good sized circle, the same circle that I used to cut out the top of the ventilator. Make a circle that same size so it all matches, all matchy-matchy. I took some black fondant, rolled it really thin, the same thickness or width, I don't know, height as the white circle there, and wrap it. I'm making little sushis right now, like little California rolls. I make 2 smaller circles because for some reason they're not the same size. It looked like, well, the picture I saw looked like that they were smaller, but I'm doing the same thing. I'm taking the circles, wrapping them up in some black fondant, really nice and thin. I'm using those circles that I made the circles with, the white circles with, to cut out alongside the mask. So the corner of the triangle, the ventilator, is going to become removed a little bit. Remember how it was flat on those side pieces where it connected? Those are going to be kind of out of the way. And then place the circle in, put the pieces back together so that way you don't misshape your circles, and then you can add water to it to make it all stick. I'm taking a thin strip of black, it's still fondant, guys, and I am outlining the ventilator because it looked like it had an outline on it. And again, it just kind of made it look a little bit nicer and neater. I used one long piece, and it was kind of a pain, so maybe you want to cut it so your corners, like at the bottom especially, are a little sharper. But I just trimmed it off, and yeah, there you go. All right, my 2 circles here, you see I'm pulling them apart so they become more oval shaped rather than circular. They're going to become the eyes on the mask. I cut an end off on one and just matched it up to the other so they're same size, same cut. I'm kind of flattening off the bottom of the eyes a little bit just because it's kind of how the mask looked. And I know this mask isn't like super perfect and oh my gosh, that looks like a real Darth Vader head sitting there on your table. But this is an excellent cake that's easy to make. It has the full effect. And because I left it flat on top, you can put a decoration on top. You could put another tier on it. If you had a whole Star Wars multi-layered cake going, multi-tiered cake, it would look awesome as a tier. So that's why I did that. Okay. As you saw, I put the eyes on the cake. I have a big piece of fondant that I mixed with some Tylose powder to make it a little bit stiffer. I put it over the cake and I kind of cut out a widow's peak shape because his helmet does that. and trimmed off some extra in the back. I don't need the helmet in the back, sticking out past the bottom of the cake. I'm actually going to have it pressed up against it. So that's why I'm not worrying about the back so much. I just want to get the front looking good. So I've got my widow's peak that I have it really curved, but then I put it on the cake and it looked horrible, so I realized I had to make a straight cut. So instead of widow's peak, it's more like, a letter V shape now. So once you get your nice V shape, I was using my pizza cutter because, I'm not wasting my money on the fondant cutters. I am going to just put it back on, take it off, put it on until it looks good, And because I added the tylose to it, it's a little stiffer. It's not going to set up quite like fondant, or I'm sorry, like gum paste, but it's going to have way more support than it otherwise would. And honestly, I've never used the powder before, so I figured why not try it out here? And I gotta say, it really, it stiffens things up very well. It really does. I don't know that I would have to work with it a lot more to be more comfortable with it, because I found it made it really stiff and not really pliable. Like it couldn't, well, for me, I couldn't shape it as well. Like if I were trying to sculpt something out of it, I don't know that I'd like it. But for this case, it was great. So something to think about, right? So yeah, so lay your cake, your Darth Vader hood over it. And you see I've got my sides flared out to the sides, and they're kind of droopy and wavy. I don't want that. So I took some more of my popsicle sticks that I have, my crafting sticks, tuck them up underneath. I had to trim it a little bit, but I just tucked it up underneath the hood at an angle in order to hold that straight shape. So then when it sets in the fridge and everything, it'll hold it. I just take the sticks out. It'll be perfect. And I forgot to mention, I kind of put like little eyebrows up under the hood because he's got that little ridge in his hood too. Forgot to mention that. Sorry. Okay, my last touch here, I just took some black food coloring, added a little bit of water to it. I'm painting over the eyepieces in the mask because his eyepieces are way shiny like glass. So I was trying to make it shinier than the rest of the fondant. It worked a little bit. Maybe I should have added more, or even like an edible glaze. I hear they exist, and that would be cool. So maybe spray those on if you have them, and then put the eyepieces on. But anyway, once it hardens, take your popsicle sticks out, and yeah, you got a pretty easy, cool Darth Vader cake. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe because I find that helpful. Check out my many other videos, and as always, thank you for watching Caketastic Cakes.